Hello everyone, and welcome back to Baseballology, where we look at the current Hall of Famers and discuss their worthiness for induction. As always, I don't advocate for anyone's removal from the Hall of Fame, but I do like talking about the histories of these players as well as how to rank them. Now, in each of the last two videos, I discussed how each player may have had some connections to the Veterans Committee that helped get them inducted. But without any hard evidence, I didn't make any charges of cronyism against anyone. Today's player is one of several picks by the Veterans Committee that the charges of cronyism can be applied to. So before we talk about this player, we have to talk about two other guys. In the 1920s and 30s, the New York Giants were one of the best teams in the National League, led by star first baseman Bill Terry and second baseman Frankie Frisch. Both players would rightfully wind up inducted by the BBWAA for the Hall of Fame, and both would serve together on the Veterans Committee, which Frisch became the chair of in the late 1960s. The two would go on to induct several of their old teammates that had little to no support from the BBWAA during their careers on the ballot, massively diluting the quality of players inducted. I stand by a previous statement of mine that there are no bad players in the Hall of Fame, but there are several that are unworthy because their numbers are not that of all-time greats. George Kelly is a perfect example of this. High Pockets Kelly was a solid-hitting first baseman from 1915 to 1932, mostly for the New York Giants. Over his 16 years in the bigs, Kelly hit for a line of 297, 342, 452, good for a WRC plus of 109. 109 as a first baseman. He wasn't even 10% better than the league average hitter at a position that is typically reserved for players that are some of the best hitters of all time. To underscore how poorly his offensive profile fits as a first baseman, upon his retirement in 1932, he ranked 58th all-time in WRC+. Oh, not amongst all major league hitters, but among all first basemen. They inducted the 58th best hitter at that position, when the professional game wasn't much more than 60 years old at the time. But I digress. Kelly collected 148 home runs in his career, while driving in more than 1,000 runs, along with 337 doubles and 76 triples. Kelly did manage to drive in 100 runs 5 times in his career, and his manager, the legendary John McGraw, believed him to be one of the best clutch hitters ever. His RBI total was good for 45th all-time at his retirement. I don't like doing hatchet jobs. It's too easy in this lifetime to be pessimistic and pick things apart that we don't like. So before I go any further, let me add some other positive aspects of Kelly's career. Kelly was a tall, slender player and used his frame to be a good defensive first baseman. In his career, Fangraphs has him rated as plus 45 runs at first base. It may be one of the easiest positions to field, but he still fielded it very well. But his decent fielding skills don't make up for a mediocre offensive profile at one of the most offensively minded positions on the diamond. I could go on for another 20 minutes or more describing the problems with Kelly's induction from a statistical standpoint and still not adequately cover everything. Instead, I'm going to focus on 2 points. First, despite playing in only 16 seasons, Kelly barely played in more than 1,600 games. In the late 1910s, Kelly had a difficult time breaking into the league and didn't become a regular until after his 4th season. Then from 1920 until 1926, Kelly played in at least 130 games regularly and provided at least 2 wins or more each season. In 1927, Kelly was traded, ironically enough, to make room for Bill Terry to play first base, to Cincinnati, where Wally Pipp, who may be the only player to be supplanted at first base by 2 Hall of Famers, was initially installed as the first baseman, and this provided little chance for Kelly to play regularly. Kelly would reclaim his position in 1928 for the Reds, but found himself released during the 1930 season. After sitting out in 1931, he was picked up by the Dodgers in 1932 and only played in 64 games for them. All of this is to say that beyond his 7 good seasons in the 1920s, Kelly didn't play much and therefore didn't provide much value on the field. This hurts a lot of his numbers, but it's not the only reason why he rates so lowly. The main reason that Kelly grades out as a poor choice for Cooperstown is actually very easy to illustrate. 2 players really wrecked Kelly's chances of being looked at as a great player, and both of them came from the same city that Kelly played in. The first, shockingly, was Babe Ruth. Ruth's ascension as the best power hitter ever in the game in 1920 began a slow transformation of the game, from slap hitters being valued to power hitters being valued. This downplayed some of Kelly's offensive abilities, but he was still able to be productive as a hitter due to high RBI totals. Unfortunately for Kelly, in 1925, another player arose to even further push him down. This time it was first baseman Lou Gehrig. By the time Kelly retired, Gehrig had amassed 119 more home runs, to go along with 126 more RBIs and 38 more WAR than Kelly, while playing in roughly 400 fewer games. Kelly's numbers, though decent for a short while, got blown away very quickly by Gehrig and others like Jimmy Fox, which takes a lot of the shine off of his career and prevents him from being an all-time great. Thanks for watching today's episode on George Kelly. Let me know in the comments what you guys think about him. Was I too harsh? Did I miss something that makes him a good pick for the Hall of Fame? Let's talk about him below. If you liked the video, please hit the subscribe button so you can get updates on the next video. Also in the comments, you can leave a note about who you think is going to be next. Here's your hint for tomorrow's video. This catcher has the lowest batting average for all position players in the Hall of Fame. And with that, I'll see you next time.